Hello, my friends. Hello, everyone. We're just gonna talk about everything I'm currently reading because it's a lot. I'm also gonna talk about a new video game that new to me video game that I love. And we're gonna focus on some self-care this vlog. We're gonna focus on some reading this vlog. We're gonna focus on some good food this vlog. Let's talk about all the things I'm in the middle of and would like to finish. So first is my nonfiction pick, which is The Heartbeat of Wounded Knee by David Trudeau, who is a Minnesota Indigenous author. I am from Minnesota, so this is great. I am about 65% into this one. This is a history of the Indigenous experience in America from 1890 to the present, and also talking about the Indigenous experience currently in today's society. But this is also like part memoir and part personal story excerpts, so we actually get excerpts from the author quite a bit as he is talking to people, other Indigenous folks around the country, and their stories as it pertains to the particular topic of the chapter, which I think is a really interesting way to make your history nonfiction a little bit more interesting. I am also 20% into Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan, which is 88 pages, chapter 7, and this is an epic fantasy sextet. There are 6 books in this series, and they are all out. And I actually have the first 3 books from the library. So this series is kind of a classic fantasy in that it follows a couple main characters, and there is a major conflict between two species. One is essentially humans, one is essentially like elf-like people. They're called the Fray, and war begins between them. And so this feels very classic fantasy in that way. And the first 3 books is like one arc, and then the second 3 books is another arc. And because that's not enough, I feel like I need something lighthearted and fun to balance out all of the fantasy and the hard-hitting nonfiction that I'm reading. I also want to pick up a contemporary romance. This is Queerly Beloved by Susie Dumond. And this is a contemporary romance that my sister got me for Christmas, so thank you so much to my sister. This was a really nice gift, and I don't really know what this is about, but based on the cover, this is kind of a baking romance, which there's so many baking romances out there that I've read. I need to do a dedicated video about all of the food, baking TV show, baking competition, baking small business romances that I've read. But I needed something light to intersperse amongst this heavy, epic fantasy and hard-hitting nonfiction. So sorry to do this to you in this lighting, but I think I'm DNFing this. It's so early in the video, but I started this, how do I say this nicely? This is, first of all, set in 2010. In the 2010s, specifically 2013, and it uses a lot of like pop culture references to establish you that, yeah, it's 2013, even though this book was published in 2022, which is kind of cringy. But The writing is genuinely bad. Like, there's so much exposition and telling instead of showing in the first 14 pages. My eyes are glazing over. Like, literally, I made it 14 pages in. And I cannot handle the writing of this. I was like, oh, I'm gonna at least give it a couple chapters. I don't think I can. You guys. I feel really bad, but like, I don't think I can handle the writing of this. I'm sorry. Good morning. Don't mind the little crunch, munch from my pups, but I got my banned I read banned books sticker and bookmark in the mail, and I feel that it's very fitting. I was able to read 2 more chapters of The Heartbeat of Wounded Knee, and I'm actually enjoying it in terms of like the execution a little bit more than I was in the first half of the book, just because I did think that the history was told like a little too quickly. But I like the way that the author is tying in personal stories for the people that he's speaking to and like their history and, you know, how they're living their life, whether on or off a reservation, and tying it to a historical policy and events and stuff like that, and kind of tying everything together. And I'm actually really liking that, how that's being told to us. So I think it's really good so far. I'm probably gonna give it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I'm like 85% into the book, so I'm really close to finishing. As for other self-care things I did yesterday, I put away all my laundry, I did the dishes, and I shoveled the front stoop of our house and the back entrance, the deck and the like way we get into our house from our garage. While it is snowing like crazy, I'm gonna work. We're gonna get a lot of reading done. Oh, hello. I cannot be left unsupervised. So first of all, I got my hair done again. It's a little hat messy, but when in Minneapolis, I'm going to take advantage of all sorts of things. So first off, haircut done. Really liking it. I love the shaved sides. I got my nails done. It doesn't look like it, but got them cleaned up and just some cuticle oil on there. I also got a couple books because I can't help myself. I got 2 books that I've already read. Dolly Green Doesn't Care and Helm of Midnight in paperback, which is nice. So these are both books I have read and really, really enjoyed in the past. And sushi. My husband doesn't like sushi, so whenever I'm alone, I tend to get sushi for myself. So that is what I'm up to. I also owe you a reading update as well. First of all, I finished The Heartbeat of Wounded Knee. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. This was a really great nonfiction. Had a bit of a rough start for me personally, but I think towards the end of the overall work, it was executed really, really well. I've also read 33% of Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. I'm really, really liking this. The first 20%, I was like, and then the cast of characters all met up, and I'm liking it a lot more, and a lot more is happening. So we're following Wraith, who killed a Frey and essentially incited a bunch of violence, and there's going to be a war between the Frey people and the humans. We have Persephone, who her husband just died, and she and Suri, who is like a seer, are trying to figure out how to prevent the Frey from killing off the entire human species. And so the 3 of them just met up. And we're also following another perspective, but we've only gotten 1 chapter from her perspective, and she is one of the Frey. But I don't know much about her at this point, and I don't even remember her name, to be honest. But I am enjoying the overall plot that's happening. It is the next day, and I finished Age of Myth. It was 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. There were a few like small issues I had with it, you know, little criticisms, but like it was really compelling. It was really good. It did suffer a little bit from being like the first book in a series, and like it's all leading up to bigger conflicts to come, but I liked the reveals that happened at the end. I liked the plot. I enjoyed the characters, but this is much more plot driven. I'll talk about it again. The narrative distance, the way that the story is told is pretty distant from the characters, so we don't get a lot of their internal emotional thoughts and feelings, so I didn't like feel super emotionally invested in the characters, but I still really liked the characters. So that's why I gave it a 4.5. I really liked it, and I'm immediately going to keep reading and go on to book 2. And that's all I want to do today. Get ready with me to film. you've seen me make silly faces and do my makeup so professionally, I'm ready to film now. I am ready to go. So I just need to grab my iPad, which has all of my notes on it, and you'll see this look in a video of mine.
On Sunday, so I got my hair cut on Saturday, did all that fun stuff. On Sunday, I read the entirety of book 2, Age of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan, because I'm a little obsessed with this story and I wanted to tell you about it. So this is the sequel to The Legend of the First Empire, 2 out of 6. And we're following the same cast of characters, but we also get more perspectives from the Frey, who are the elf-like beings. And we also go to the dwarf city, which I thought was cool. We get some pretty stereotypical descriptions of dwarves. So take that how you will. Dwarves are often depicted using anti-Semitic stereotypes, so they weren't necessarily hoarding and like coveting gold so much, and then the 3 main dwarves that we get to know seemed actually pretty decent and not just power hungry and whatnot. So I don't know, so take that how you will. There is also big trigger warning I want to give for book 2. And it's a little bit of a spoiler, so spoiler, but also trigger warning for death of an animal companion. It's off page, but it's incredibly sad, and our characters are reeling from it. Overall, what I will say about book 2 is that this series is leading up to a war between the elves and the humans, and it just hasn't happened yet. So book 1 and 2 feel a lot like setup, and that's fine. Like, stuff is happening, but it's not. It feels like 2 prequels. It feels like 2 prequels to the actual story, a little bit. Oh, sorry. I'm turning. And book 2 especially feels like a long side quest turned into a full-length novel. And the side quest is important. However, it is still feels like a side quest, if that makes sense. So I still liked it. I ended up giving it like 3.75 stars, essentially a 4-star rating. Didn't like it as much as book 1, but I'm still enjoying these characters, and the overall plot is fun. I am about 10% into Age of War, which is book 3, and not much to say about it thus far. It's pretty good.
Real quick, I wanted to just do an update at 33% of the book. I am tentatively nervous, tentatively excited, because in the first book, we're introduced to a character who is physically disabled, named Gifford, and he is a potter. He's an artist. He makes pottery on his little spinning wheel, and I really like Gifford as a character, and without giving too much away, Gifford has some kind of destiny to be awesome, and they are trying to suss out if Gifford maybe has magic. And I'm just sat here, like, thinking and praying and hoping that Gifford, if he does become a magic user, that the magic doesn't fix him. Like, he is a great character because of and in spite of his physical disabilities. I'm just really hoping that he doesn't get, like, magically fixed, and he just gets to be an awesome magic user without getting magically healed, which is a trope I hate. This is the end of the vlog. Several days later, I finally finished Age of War, and I'm conflicted. I'm left feeling a little frustrated by this third installment. My favorite characters are in precarious situations, and I can see them heading down a path that is going to be harmful to them, and it kind of seems inevitable. So like, they are on this path, and you as the reader know that that's a bad thing and that there's something bad coming, but the character doesn't. And so that's where my frustration comes from, I think, a little bit, because I'm like, no, don't do that. We know that that's bad, and the character doesn't, so it's a little frustrating. This ending was bittersweet. There, I did get a little choked up there, surprisingly. I didn't think I was as emotionally attached to these characters as I thought I was, but there's definitely a line that arrow to my heart. So ultimately, I think I'm like, it was a good book, but I'm just feeling slightly frustrated. So I think I'm giving this like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I probably will try to read book 4, but again, feeling just a little bit flustered by this book. There was also a really disturbing comment made very flippantly by the narrator about how the dwarves were like a slave to the human who was working in the forge, and I don't like that. That's pretty gross. The other thing that the narrator does that I don't like is, in this world, the dwarves are called the Durg, and so the narrator keeps calling them the Durg, but the dwarves themselves say, hey, that's a derogatory term. The elves call us that, and we don't like it. That means something horrible in the elf language. And so please don't call us that. And then they're like, please call us this other thing. This is what we call ourselves in the dwarven language. And the humans are like, that's too hard to pronounce. How about dwarves instead? And the dwarfs are like, okay, fine. You know, stupid humans. And then, but the narrator continues to reference them as the derogatory term throughout the book. And that really frickin' bothers me. Don't like that. I don't like how the dwarves are being handled. I didn't like it in book 2. I really don't like it in book 3. Those are my thoughts. Kind of a lackluster ending to the vlog here. I did read a lot. It was a little all over the place, wasn't it? I did manage to finish my nonfiction book, and that was really excellent. And then books 1, 2, and 3 of The Legends of the First Empire by Michael J. Sullivan. And I DNF'd Clearly Beloved at 14 pages. So, a vlog that was literally all over the place. Anyway, if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much for being here and for watching. And I will see you in another video of mine very soon. Bye.